Welcome to The Worthy Woman, a podcast for the intuitive, ambitious woman who's ready to regulate her nervous system, reconnect with her body, and rise to the next level of success, health, and purpose. I'm your host, Jo, manual osteopath, holistic coach, and nervous system guide, here to walk with you as you heal from the inside out and create a life and a business that actually feels good. On this podcast, we explore the connection between your body, emotions, subconscious patterns, and your ability to lead, create, and live from your worth. Let's get into today's episode. Hey guys, welcome back to the Worthy Woman podcast. We are going to be talking today about embodiment, and I feel like we all hear that a lot in our business and just like the personal growth space, like, you know, you have to embody her, like be the version of you who already has it. And if you're anything like me, you probably thought, okay, cool, but like what the fuck does that even really mean? Right? Like, how do I even go about doing that? Especially when you're trying to bring things into your life or manifest or create things in your life that you've never had before, right? So I was always frustrated with this because my mind, I understood the concept, right? Like I logically understood what they were trying to get me to do. But I didn't understand the how. Like I was like, I don't understand what that really means necessarily. There was like, I just felt like everybody always said it in this like surface level way. And there was never the depth to it to really understand, okay, what do I do every day to make this happen? And so if you've ever tried to act like your next level self or this version of you that has things, but it always just felt like really forced and maybe uncomfortable, kind of fake, questioning whether it's even like doing anything, this episode is going to really help you make things click and understand what it really means. So I have worked with business coaches for a good few years now, like probably like 5 years now, you know, for my own business and that sort of stuff. And they would always say this, right? Like embody this next level version of like, what is this? Where are you trying to go? And like, what does she have? And like, envision that and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, cool. But like when I would sit down to maybe like envision it or journal on it, it just felt really forced and kind of weird. And it didn't really feel, I just didn't always feel connected to it. And so I was kind of like struggling and questioning like, one, am I even doing it right? And two, like, am I missing something? Because it just feels weird, you know? And, you know, you try to think like this person, you try to act like this person, and maybe you're trying to follow certain routines and whatever, but it's like, it might never stick, or you know, start doing this embodiment stuff and then you kind of fall off, right? And so what I've realized is that what they're essentially talking about is like getting your nervous system and your mind, like your body and your mind on board. What I feel like is missing is the fact that a lot of people talk about it from a very logical space of like, oh, just journal, just write it out, just whatever. But it's not really helping people feel into those changes that they're like trying to make, right? And so looking back, I can see that what it was that my nervous system was still trying to figure out what the heck we were doing, right? And it's not necessarily going to feel comfortable because you're trying to be something that you haven't yet experienced, which is one, you're like, I haven't been there, so I don't really know what this feels like. And two, it's a little bit scary for your nervous system because it's different and it's new and it's not somewhere you've ever been before, which automatically that's going to put up like your nervous system defenses, right? And so there was always this disconnection between what I wanted and what my body was actually holding. And that's what embodiment really is. Like, to embody really means like get into your body, right? Bring this feeling and this sensation into your body. And again, I think there's like, it's really passed off in the coaching community, especially as like this like thing that we can just mentally do and it'll just like magically appear, right? And it's kind of like this fluffy version of it when realistically it's going to take a lot of uncomfortable energy, and you have to consistently show up for it and teach. Essentially what you're doing is every time that you're teaching your nervous system, like every time you do it, you're teaching your nervous system that like this is safe and this is okay to have. And then eventually, you can create that, or you feel confident enough to create that. I just feel like a lot of it is very logical based, and there's not a great amount of explanation of like how to even do it, right? And that's where I always felt really stuck. So it's important to know that being this next level her, or like trying to bring this next level of you into your world, is not a mindset. It can be tied to our beliefs and those sorts of things, but it's really around our nervous system and helping us feel safe. And so yes, we might have to rewire certain beliefs, but that all comes with nervous system work, right? We have to essentially help our nervous system realize that there's a different path available for us, right? And so embodiment is really when your body actually starts to believe what your mind's been telling it. And we can't do that if we're constantly dysregulated, or if we're struggling to stay consistent with things, right? Like I always talk about like the nervous system archetypes and the nervous system patterns, which you can take my quiz if you haven't already, which will tell you which one you're in. But when we can recognize those patterns, we see how we're showing up. And this is going to help us identify how we can actually support our nervous system. The other piece that I find with embodiment is that like people always teach you how they do it, which isn't always necessarily how you're supposed to do it. And I think from a nervous system perspective, that's huge, because depending on what type you are, you're going to need different things to help regulate. Some people love journaling. Some people love, like, they can envision things. Some people don't get visions in their mind's eye. Like, some people don't see things, right? And so I think it's understanding what you actually need to help you embody this next level version of yourself. Maybe you need more movement in your life. Maybe you need to, do a vision board. Maybe you need like more graphic type stuff versus words, right? Like how are you actually embodying that within your sense of self? And maybe for you, it's actually just working on and taking actions as this person that you are, and regulating your nervous system while you're taking those actions, right? So what can feel dysregulating with embodiment is the fact that you are trying to step into a new version of yourself, right? Which obviously we all want that. A lot of us, if you're listening to this, you probably love growing, right? You love expanding and trying to improve your life. And that feels scary to the nervous system. That's why it's so hard to change our lives, because it's like it's unfamiliar. And our body doesn't know the difference between danger and expansion. Like it just sees this as something different regardless, right? And so that next level that you're actually reaching for, whether it's more visibility, more success, more money, business growth, whatever, actually feels unsafe to your nervous system because it doesn't feel prepared for it. And so we have to continually show up each day, every week, in a way that supports our nervous system to teach it that, like, as we're slowly growing and expanding, it's safe, right? And the goal isn't to be perfect all the time. You're going to have moments of up and down. It's more of like you have the tools in your tool belt, and your nervous system actually knows how to come down from that stress. A lot of us are caught up in fight or flight. We're caught up in this sympathetic drive, when realistically our nervous system is supposed to ebb and flow between sympathetic and parasympathetic. We want to go back and forth between those two, kind of like a wave. But a lot of us stay stuck in one state, and that's really the problem, we'll say. And that's what makes us feel unsafe in those moments, is that it's like we never get a moment to rest. We become this hyper vigilant type of person. And so again, the goal isn't to be perfect, but it's to be able to build this sense of safety and consistency through small grounded practices that we do daily. And that's how we start to embody what we really want. So these sorts of things could look like, creating daily grounding or regulating routines. Like what do you do every day to kind of help your nervous system, essentially slowing down. Another one is slowing down before big actions or launches, right? Like giving yourself time and space between these big events in your life. Checking in with your body before you even say yes to things. So do you really want to do that thing that that you've said yes to, right? Or are you just people pleasing, or what's kind of going on, right? And just recognizing when you're starting to slip into old nervous system patterns. So overworking, avoiding things, right? Procrastination kind of falls into that. People pleasing, overthinking, like ruminating, right? So when you can start to, again, recognize how you're showing up when it's connected to your nervous system, it's going to give you an idea of the patterns you fall into and how you can kind of course correct yourself, right? And that is the first step that I always talk about. So awareness is noticing like that pattern that's starting to show up and where you're performing for your next level instead of actually like feeling it, right? And then we want to regulate, right? Using breath, movement, grounding techniques, anything to kind of signal to the body that sense of safety. And then consistency, that's going to allow us to be more consistent. It's going to allow us to create small rituals and support for our nervous system daily, but also it's going to help us be more consistent in our other actions that we're doing for our business, right? A lot of times we can't stay consistent with things in our business. It's either one, out of alignment with us, and it's not really the way we're supposed to be acting, which essentially is going to dysregulate you. And then it can just be that you're dysregulated, and so you get to this point of kind of burnout or whatever, and you have to take a break, you have to step back, your fears, your subconscious beliefs start to kind of come up to the surface. So if we can start to ground ourselves throughout the week and regulate ourselves throughout the week, we're going to be more consistent, not only in our nervous system, but we're going to actually be more consistent in our business. And then we have trust. So just allowing the body to actually catch up, right? Embodiment is seriously a process. I truly believe in divine timing as well. I feel like there's a timing of which we are ready. We can, hold back that timing if we're not doing the work, but it's not about just performing. And I think when we get into the performing piece, that's when we can really burn ourselves out. It's like it still has to feel good. It has to feel genuine, right? It's really just showing up in very small ways consistently that then teach your body how to be safe, and that is going to help you hold more, right? Because again, a lot of us, especially if you are consistently kind of dysregulated, your capacity is quite low, right? Your tolerance is low, right? And that's going to bring you more success, more visibility, more money, more growth, right? When it comes to your business. So if you've been struggling with the embodiment piece, I encourage you to start looking at the nervous system. You can still do it with the other things that you're doing, but ask yourself, like, how am I feeling? Like if you're just journaling on stuff, like how is that actually making you feel? And how can I actually bring this into my body more? Maybe through breath work after doing the journaling, or going for a walk, or stretching, or like there's so many options of things that you can do, but you have to find what works for you, which can be a bit of a trial and error. So don't beat yourself up if the first thing you try doesn't maybe feel like it's working. And then you have to do it consistently for the next little bit, right? So you're not doing anything wrong. It's not that your embodiment practices that you're doing aren't working. It's just that you might need a little bit more nervous system support to help it make it feel a little bit more real. And then that self-doubt, those sorts of things won't creep in as often, right? This is the type of work that I do inside of my Elevate Her program. It's really helping you bridge the gap between where you are now and this version of you that you're trying to call in and become in your business, right? And it's not about doing more and having all these strategies. Those strategies are absolutely helpful, but they're only helpful when we can actually wrap our body around it in the sense of like have a nervous system that's ready for that too, right? So it's really about, this program is about aligning your body, your energy, and your nervous system so that the embodiment becomes more natural. The expansion becomes more natural. And we feel not only we have success in our business, but the success feels good, right? It doesn't feel like this performing, or you're running a business for somebody else, or you're running the business the way everybody else tells you to do it, and it's really not aligned with you, right? So that's what the Elevate Her program really works on, is like, how do we get your body on board with your business, right? And really helping your body become your business partner in your business, right? And you don't have to force yourself to become this version of you. It's already within you. It's just, how can we, balance ourselves, regulate ourselves a little bit so that we can hold more, have more. And again, it's not that you're always going to be regulated, but you're going to be able to regulate, right? So that you can actually become this version of yourself that you want to be and feel good, and not get to this point after the fact of having the success and feel burnt out. So hopefully that resonated for you guys. I will be back next week with another podcast episode. We'll see what the topic's going to be on. This one I just felt really called to talk about because it's something I definitely struggled with in my own life, and I can imagine other people are too. So yeah, hopefully that was supportive and helpful for you. If not, feel free to check out a different episode or what have you. But I will be back next week, and I will see you guys then. Thank you so much for being here as always, and I'll see you next week.